didn't already start dancing like a zombie? Please do so. Mr. C?
Yeah.
Well,
keep playing the music. Keep the music rolling.
I didn't see you dancing like a zombie. Come on now.
I'm dancing like a zombie. Keep the music going, Dennis.
All right, let's try again.
I'm on security. Blessings on blessings, you call me blessings. These my blessings can all be touching. I know my level, my man, don't stress me. If I could bless me, some here to party. Oh, you're a zombie. I'm about to you're a zombie. But you know, bring a jealous zombie. Got a party, people dancing jealous zombies. Some need to let wake up, bring the liquor. The poor man, someone bring the paper. Wake up, bring the liquor. The poor man, someone bring the paper. I said nobody, I won't party. I want you to go down low. I want you to wind it slow. Mama, you rock the show. I'm ready to spend some more. You know, sit down, check it. See, I feel no time for check. Man, I want you to dance like you ready, don't care. And do the dance for the zombie side. It's me and you, mama, no more stress. I want to dance like myself. Oh, you're a zombie. I'm about to bro, you're a zombie. But you know, bring a yellow zombie. Body, people dancing, you're a zombie. Long good t-shirt, to the money photo. Yeah. Do or die when you shake around. You know, when I move past me, they pop up blast me. Yes, my blast me, you cannot stop me. You money can have a low. You say that I'm on no heaven low. I'm a fireman on papa. Like a Zano remote and this time. I bless you, let's grow up, the transformer. I bless you for our rest now. Oh, you're a zombie. I'm about to bro, you're a zombie. But you know, bring a yellow zombie. Got a party, people dancing, you're a zombie. I said nobody, I won't party. I want you to go down low. I want you to find this low. Mama, you rock the show. Ready to spend some more. A number left. You know, sit down, number left.
Mr. John, I don't know about you, man. I'm dancing like a zombie, brother.
I didn't see that zombie move. Come on, Remy. Oh, yeah, I like that zombie move.
Yes. All right. I like the zombie move, and I want to keep dancing, but it seems to be that. Dennis, I think we're going to get started here. Let me do my last sharing. I'm enjoying my zombie dance.
Yeah, let's do it. The people will come.
One more time. Let's do it one more time.
Yeah.
What, you still want to dance like zombie?
Yeah.
All day, all night.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia. We are in an exclusive interview with J. Randy Dapo. He's the host of Bakuba Show. But in the meantime, let's do a small dance.
These my blessings can all be touching.
Our blessings from left back.
Don't stress.
Dance like zombie.
Bless me some here to party. Oh, you're a zombie. I'm about to bro, you're a zombie. But you know, bring a yellow zombie. Got a party, people dancing, you're a zombie. Sanko, me I want to wear a Paco. Wake up, bring the liquor. The poor man, someone bring the paper. Wake up, bring the liquor. The poor man, someone bring the paper. I said nobody, I won't party. I want you to go down low. I want you to find it slow. do the dance for the zombie side. It's me and you, mama, no more stress. I want to dance up in myself. Oh, you're a zombie. I'm about to pro, you're a zombie. But then I'll bring a yellow zombie. Body, people dancing, you're a zombie. Uncle T-shirt, they to the money photo. Yeah, do or die when they shake around.
All right, Dennis, I think let's get started here. Folks in cyberspace, at this time, we want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. This is our Friday special edition of our show. I am excited, as you can see. Dennis Jah is excited. We have a brother, we have a gentleman in studio as our judge, the man, J. Rennie Dapo of the Bakugbe Show. He's here. And in this edition of Focus on Liberia, Mr. J. Rennie Dapo will be using his analytical and political wealth of knowledge to provide answers to questions that we have prepared for him. He told me, "See, I'm ready, man. I will be at my best, and we're going to see whether he's going to do that." Again, my name is Anthony Shea. I'm co-hosting with my partner, Dennis Jah. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. As you know, I Focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, and we promote all things Liberia. That is why it is important that you hit that share button quickly as we go into the exclusive with the man, J. Rennie Dapo. At this time, Dennis Jah will take over. Mr. Jah.
Mr. Dapo, welcome to Focus on Liberia for the first time. We watch you and we know that you discuss the issue. Your analytical skill is very sharp, maybe due to your engineering background. Engineers are smart people. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. We are so glad to have you.
Hey, guys, it's also a pleasure because, it takes a lot of scrutiny, it takes a lot of observation, and I believe it also takes a lot of vetting process because as I see you guys most often, it is not just easy to bring anyone on Focus on Liberia. So to see me be part of the history that is being made tonight, to be part of the Focus on Liberia panelists as a special interview for me, I'm very glad to be here, and thanks to everyone, and thanks to all your fans and supporters, as well as my supporter. I look forward to a very, very challenging but information dissemination interview here tonight. So it is an honor for me to be in your midst.
And we want to use this time also to welcome our viewers across the globe, tune in to Focus on Liberia on this Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and we have Mr. Rennie Dapo. Rennie is the host of the Bakugbe Show, and he's been a staunch supporter of the Josh Weah-led government. In fact, he described himself as that staunch, very staunch supporter. And we are glad to have Rennie share his thoughts on the pillars of the CDC government and other trending political issues. And to get us started, let's go to my man, the political bulldog, Mr. Ansoni Sia, host of the Hour of Politics. Mr. Sia.
All right, before we can get started, we want to share with you a little more about our guest tonight, J. Rennie Dapo. J. Rennie Dapo is an environmental program engineer and a public health, safety, security, and sustainable natural resources policy expert. He has been in his field since 2004 to present. His expertise has allowed him to work as an EHSS manager, environmental specialist, industrial engineer, site project manager, and an engineer in the chemical, construction, manufacturing, petroleum, and pharmaceutical, and other industries in the United States. Aside from his regular job, J. Rennie also provides consultancies to various private businesses in the United States through his company called the Liberian Environmental Partnership Group. That's the LEPG, including consultancy to the Environmental Protection Agency of Liberia. During the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration in 2009, J. Rennie launched his interest into the politics of Liberia and took on various roles as a pundit, political analyst, and commentator on several local and online radio stations in Liberia. In 2017, he campaigned for Kennedy Josh Weah, now President Josh Weah, and today J. Rennie is host of the Bakugbe Political Show, promoting the party change for hope agenda and revealing the Government Proposed Agenda for Prosperity and Development, that is the PAPD, policy and program to all Liberians and around the world. Jay Rani holds a Master of Science in Environmental Management and Policies with emphasis Environmental Regulations and Policy, Health Security, BSc in Environmental Engineering, Associate of Applied Science, Computer Science, Technology with various professional certificates. One of Jay's running current responsibility include the U.S. Homeland Security and Counterterrorism Program, Cybersecurity Program, which he oversees. That is a little more about Jay Rennie. This man has a very impressive resume. Dennis, your thought before we get to our guest here.
It will interest you that this is how Randy described himself on Facebook. He said, I'm a member of the Department of Social Media for CDC. I'm a proud member and custodian for the Liberian people with the Government Department of Social Media promoting the proposed agenda for prosperity for the CDC, a less expensive medium, but a game changer in information dissemination. The truth must be exposed to evaporate the lies and misinformation out there. Randy, you got a pretty big job.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And like you said, we have to use our experience. We have to make our voices heard. So as you read over there, the social media is one of the cost but very effective ways. We don't have to pay for Facebook directly. Indirectly, we do. But we get the benefit by disseminating, revealing the information out there. Because in the past, the reason Liberia has been unable to be to where it is today because our leaders in the past did not develop a roadmap that will take the country to where we once saw the country and to where we are today. So with President George Manneh, we are under the 4 pillars of the proposed development for prosperity. We see how much progress are being made up to now.
All right. So let's get this started. You just hit the nail on the air about the 4 pillars of the proposal. So let's get right into the 4 pillars of the proposal. And we're going to start with pillar 1, which is about education and training. And prior to the President Weah coming to power, President Sirleaf described the educational system as a mess. Okay, since then, schools under President Weah, especially on the countryside where I come from, are in very deplorable conditions. Students are not really performing to the standard of their counterparts in other West African countries. And so let's, Mr. CA, you know more about these things than I do. You eat, sleep, and drink politics. Let's talk to Randy about the proposed agenda under pillar 1.
And the good thing is, Randy too is an educator. I follow Randy religiously. At a very young age, he started teaching. Even when he started on Facebook, he was known. He is still known on Facebook as a professor. So teaching is a passion, and he doesn't hide, from telling the truth. So, Randy, we're talking education yet. My home Grand Crew, the last time I saw some pictures on Facebook, students were sitting on the floor taking a while. So I guess our question here is when it comes to pillar 1, which is education and training, what is the CDC government grade and why, given what you know so far?
Well, first of all, I will never want to understand that President George Manneh has been given a mandate for 6 years, which will in turn turn into a 12 years. And I'm positive of that, and I'm direct on the show here. Yeah. So within the 6 years, we have done on less than 2.5 years of progress. All right. Progress is based on your step-by-step agenda and objective towards you being measured at the end of your term. So the problem, what we have in our country is a problem that is part of our foundation. Since 1847, we have never had an organized political or governmental agenda in terms of policy that places emphasis on education in our country. And the reason for that, we see today people over the age of 40 still at the University of Liberia. And President, we have feel that in order to put these things into context, to begin to reduce the liabilities, he came out with a vision where he saw the country and said Liberia is at the lowest point of any country barometers. So his vision is, I would like to see my administration moving the country from a low-income country to a middle-income country. And how do he do that? That's his idea. But ideas, like you guys said, must be taken off your head and put on papers. So the president managed to develop the Hope for Change as a political party, as an emblem to give the people this 145 years of no education, no policy to help you and myself and our generation, the generation after us. So on Pillar 1, the president focused on education and training. The reason we have the training there, Sia, is there are some people who were not determined to be college material. Right? Education that take us to the next level. The president now, under this pillar, has divided the educational program into two. We had a TVET educational.
Mr. Dapo, sorry to interrupt you. We read the pillars and we know exactly what they are, but our question is, how is the president, how is the government doing regarding Pillar 1?
So you want me to hit it on the head? You don't need a
Yeah,
detail.
hit it on the head.
Okay. The president is doing extremely well from the primary level up to the high school level. Here is how. The Ministry of Education had done an assessment. See, the failure of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration to present to focus on Liberia, what were the percentage of educated people and those who are not educated in different categories, elementary, junior high, high school. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did not define where she met our educational system. She did not give or where she left off. So President, we are administration now, has decided to put those things into context. So up to present, the progress bar is around, I would say, 75% of progress. 75% of progress in that students across our country, with the challenges they have with the teachers, the school, the government of Liberia through the Minister and Ministry of Education are at a percentage of 75% in progress of making sure that we meet the needs. What are some of the advantages that take us into that point? We are now seeing students going for the WASH exam, coming out and performing very, very well. My county, Honor Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, by the way, I'm from River G. The student Honor Ellen could barely pass the WASH exam. But for the president years in office, it has shown that progress. There are students now coming up with. So progress of the president around
is our D or minus D?
It's a C plus because there is a heavy lifting going on in there. So it's a C plus.
With C plus, Rennie. So let's come to what are the things that you look at to arrive at the C plus? Are you looking at the quality of the schools? Are you looking at teachers? Are you looking at instructional materials to those schools? Because we've seen schools not out renovated at all, to the point that some students don't have to sit on the ground to take the WASH. So how did you arrive at this plus C?
Well, the process and commitment that is being applied to the challenges you talk about. Bad school, bad environment, poor teachers, quality of education. The Ministry of Education is revamping all those things that you described were not done before. So the process is not done yet, and that's why it's at a C plus, and it's still in the direction that we want to see those things. So take, for example, the 15 counties, all right? Everything is not going to be at the same equilibrium because of the past history of our educational system. So the president agenda through the Ministry of Education, they are systemically mapping every area. And as they cover the geography of the country, the school system, the teachers, the curriculum, the condition of the school are all the total of what I'm seeing as a progress that measure up to 75%.
All right, finally on education, because it's a broad field, we got a lot of pedals, and then besides that, we have to go to national issues. So let's run through this quickly. One of the ways sometimes people tend to determine whether the government is prioritizing education is the budget. Given your reading of the budget, do you see an increase in educational budget for which you are giving this government C+ in terms of education?
Yes, I do see an increase, but from the opposition, because they don't understand the mechanics, they don't understand the history. They will complain, but their complaint will only prove them wrong because the result is coming up. The educational system under the government school system, whether it's the MCSS or the private school institution, they are all subject to the Ministry of Education regulation and expectation. Mm-hmm. So with the challenges we have in the country, the government budget at this time is in the direction of making our educational system up to the level of our counterpart in the West African region. Is it up there 100%? I would say absolutely not, because there are challenges in the country. Remember, Brother Dennis and Brother C.A., in any country, taxpayer play a significant role. You and I can help to develop our educational system by paying taxes into the system. So the government budget is like a family budget that must be distributed in every area, and the president is so good at prioritizing things in a different format that help to move our country forward. So the budget presently is doing extremely well, meeting the needs, but I will say a big thank you to the Minister of Finance. The salary harmonization that he undertook, it really increased the teachers who were earning.
That is on the economic. We will get to that, but let's close on this. And let me say this to you. At some point, you remember there were hike in tuition in Monrovia. Parents were crying. Even government officials were crying. So there was an investigation launched. So when they went into the investigation, they got to know that there were no extracurricular activities or instructional materials added to the schools that have given rise to the increase in tuition at the time. So the decision was the schools that have increased tuition needed to give the money back to the parents. That was more than 6 months ago, and up to now, nothing has been done. You think the government is doing well on this issue? Because there was a decision made.
Well, let me put myself in the position. Mm-hmm. I am a staunch supporter of the government, but to answer your question, I'm not going to answer the question as a direct representation of the government response to this question. I'm only going to say it is good that you brought it up. My thing here is the government will respond at the appropriate time. If there's any issue wrong, I look forward to the government responding. But to your point, those who carry on the scheme, the government PR office need to come out so that we can get a clarity on that.
Thank you. Mr. Jaya?
Let's move to healthcare.
All right.
The second pillar.
All right, let's move to pillar 2. That is the second pillar, right?
Bullet point number 2.
Bullet point number 2 on pillar 1 of the Propo agenda, and that is health and sanitation. And Rennie, yes, when it comes to health and sanitation, you have some strong expertise there, especially when it comes to public safety. At some point, we all know the garbage around Monrovia. Monrovia was staying. I don't know how we're doing now. I mean, the question is, the opposition grades the government F. Do you agree or disagree when it comes to the issue of public health?
Well, let me speak to the grade F. What are the expertise of the opposition? Are they arbitrarily just picking numbers to get out there? We all know substances assessment.
Apparently, they were seeing the store part of garbage all around the markets, all around Monrovia, and then that was easier for them to say, this is an F. I mean, this is an F.
Okay, it was easier for them to say because they don't understand the mechanics. The garbage on the street must be assessed, and the garbage must be put into a program. A program must be supported by a budget. A program must have capacity, and capacity must be trained both from those who generate and those who are supposed to remove. So if they gave that letter and they gave reason, challenges, then that is just arbitrary F. But I will say this, Mayor Jefferson Koji and the other mayor, Liberians who call themselves opposition don't follow resourceful information. The World Bank has been working with the early administration, and Mayor Jefferson Koji has been very, very strong in collaborating with the World Bank. There is a landfill center, I believe, in the Mount Barkley area that is supposed to be coming to light because of the limitation in garbage collection, because of the ignorance in the importance of understanding garbage positioning and collection. Those who came up with the F don't understand the mechanics. But what Jefferson Koji, Major Koji, is doing now is trying to build a system that will put the trash in tow, that will continue to be on a frequency of how things will be. He's also is looking at ways to train marketeers. He also looking at ways to train residents how to properly manage their trash. The reason Ellen failed is because she took Mana Bro, who was just an operational person, but did not understand how to sustain the process. So Mayor Koji has been very careful in this step to ensure.
Randy, are you saying that Major Koji is doing a better job in terms of cleaning Monrovia compared to Maryborough? Is that why you want us to believe?
Yes. Why? Major Koji is taking a sustainable approach. Mana Bro just took a rushed approach, and vis-a-vis, you saw everywhere she went. When she left, the plane went back. It was like an elasticity. You stretch the elastic, by the time you leave it, it go back to the initial stage. That one Mana Bro done. I mean, everything Mana Bro, everywhere Mana Bro went to work, everything they now remain the same. Mayor Koji is trying to sustain the process. And in sustaining the project, it requires budget, careful planning, capacity building, creating the awareness. And that's exactly what Mayor Koji is doing right now. So in time to come, the level of garbage you see, there will be frequency within the system that he's trying to create that will eliminate the garbage. Because right now, people are dumping garbage on the bare soil. That also has an environmental impact to groundwater and the very soil. Mayor Koji is carefully observing those things from the sanitation standpoint. Now, do you want me to go to the healthcare? Do you want me to go to the health?
Yeah, let's go to healthcare. And before you step in healthcare, let me share with you.
Randy, before you go ahead, Mr. Seer.
No, I was just about to say, let's come to healthcare. I know you're trying to say that Major Koji is doing well, but we still see stuff out of that. But because of time, let's come to healthcare. Our hospitals are challenged. I, from my observation, can say to you that the health system has deteriorated completely and significantly in the country, to the point that any government official, whenever they are sick, they have to, be flown out of the country. So given what we know with the deterioration of the healthcare system, you think the CDC government is achieving this bullet point on the Pillar 1?
First of all, we don't have a healthcare system. We have capacity that can accommodate people who are ill. A healthcare system is a system that talks to each other. A healthcare is a system that have a policy that aligns with everyone. The reason you describe what you just described is based on the failure of all the government over the past 144 years to put in a policy that by 2020, we will have a better healthcare system. What President Weah is doing, take for example, the military, one of the staunch institutions in our country, in the history of our country, has never had a military institution. Today, you see the issue of COVID. Had it not been for that medical institution, people would have been places would have, like the Anthony Totman Stadium or the STD Stadium would have been used as a triage center or a testing center. So President Weah, knowing what he understands about healthcare, remember, this president plays soccer in Europe and across the world. He understands what it means to be physically fit. And to be physically fit, you must have the capacity. The capacity will call for institutions that will be able to accommodate the capacity. With the healthcare system, the president is revamping everything. Shaki Kamara died at JFK because the policy of the hospital did not provide the Good Samaritan law where you must take care of the citizen before you ask for money. President, we don't want to see that happening anymore. JFK today, all the hospitals around West Africa are not elevating themselves to trauma hospital. We don't have those things in place. So President, we understand and know all these things. So with the health minister, from what you see at the airport, the stringent measure that is being put in place for COVID to stop the spread of COVID, with the National Public Health Institution that he put it in place, these are supporting components that they connect. You will have a very robust healthcare system. So with the president right now, the way things are going, the president is actually doing extremely well in our healthcare sector. And people are getting pre-checked up with regards to And the
Yeah, Randy.
as far as, for a second, please, as far as specialty goes, like people who have organ infection and other high-level specialty condition will be flown out of the country. Why are they flown out of the country? Because from the day the country was founded, the founders of our country, after 145 years, did not look at specialty in our country. But George Manuel Weah is doing those things. I have students calling me from China. I have students calling me from Morocco, telling me about their expertise. And all because President Weah believe in Pillar 1, which is about education that will tie into health and sanitation. So you see how the spider net is built together.
Mr. Dapo, you stress a very important point, and I agree with you that what we have is not a system, all right? And because things are scattered, they are not coordinated, there is no coordination of healthcare. But the example you gave, you said build a military hospital. How is that a policy?
No, the building a military hospital is not a policy. It's about increasing the institution and giving ownership to different sector of our country. The military hospital, today, President Trump, as you speak, is being taken to Waterbury Hospital. Waterbury Hospital is one of the top hospitals in the world. Liberia is a carbon copy of the United States. If we have someone like George Weah from 1847 today, the institution that I'm telling you about, so the military hospital is an institutional building vision of this president. Because
for now, Mr. Dapo, it's just a holding center for people that are, that tested positive of COVID.
It's easy. The reason it became a holding center for COVID-19, you cannot have regular work taking place over there when you are in a pandemic season. But you just heard that the Chinese government is going to give a $20 million laboratory process. So you see, no matter the challenges, the man-made challenges, all right, the Mother Nature challenges, President Weah still got his eyes on his vision to build capacity and institution.
So, J. Randy, let me ask you the question, J. Randy. That we need in terms of healthcare or provision in the country, which is the primary?
The primary is preventive healthcare.
I will say to you, the personnel, the people who provide the care. All right. So let's talk about that. We know that healthcare workers have been protesting.
Yes.
Because of just benefit that they are due. There was a negotiation about their benefit September of last year, and the government had a year to meet all these that they agreed on, but the government did not do so. At the end of the day, they had to protest because they wanted to see their demands being met. But the government came and said, hey, if you will not go to work, if you will want to protest, then we will have to replace you. Is that the best way to handle this issue?
To be honest with you, the information you got is an alternative information. The information
we don't deal with alternative fact. That is the fact. We don't deal with alternative facts here.
I'm going to give you the facts. I'm going to give you the facts. Remember, you said, Randy, you are a teacher. A real teacher will do due diligence. A real teacher will look at the facts. And I will take you back if you give me 2 minutes to answer this question.
Go ahead.
In 2013 and 2014, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf agreed to increase the teacher salary, the health worker salary from 150 to 200. They went back and forth with that situation. We don't know the closure, but what I do know from sources that I spoke to, that deal was never cut. We rolled into President George Weah administration. The health workers are crying merely for a hazardous pay. The pay that comes with the risk they take working with patients who they don't know actually may carry or be a carrier of the COVID-19. The harmonization scheme that the finance minister took on the healthcare worker salary indeed were protected. Yeah, their salary were protected. Nothing was wrong with that. They came to the hazardous pay. The president negotiated. The president sat with the healthcare worker, all right, and told Mr. Tama, I'm willing to give you guys, I believe, $2 million upfront, and then we'll negotiate what you guys are talking about. You see, this president is a negotiator. The president understands the bread and butter issue of our people. Unlike Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, that told Dr. Gonogwali that if these people don't go to work, if they don't show up, don't pay them. So the information you got, the reason I say it's an alternative fact, what I just told you are the facts. These healthcare workers understand the fact that they been under some hazardous condition working with COVID patient. And Dr. We have met with these people at the municipal complex. And it was said, but you see, when you bring politics into people's health, it compromises the goal. And because of that, it disseminates the wrong information. And that's the wrong information they send to you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Their hazardous pay. And the hazardous pay right now, the president is looking into that.
Thank you.
Let's move to the last point on this pillow, and then we can move to pillow 2, because we have a lot to talk about.
Right.
But the information about firing them, that is correct, but we don't want to go back and forth into that. The next thing is on gender equality. Okay, rape cases have surged, and the female representation is in the Senate has reduced to 1 person. The ruling party has 0 female in her slot for in the field of candidates for 2020 special elections. How are we doing with gender equality under pillar 1?
And to add to that, the deliverable in the roadmap that was presented to the president, that's sort of being implemented by the general ministry. The general ministry did not meet all the deliverable, based on the timetable. So how are we doing with gender equality?
Question one at a time, because when you talk about deliverable, I would like to expand with your question. So let me start with Brother Dennis.
The deliverable by September, she's supposed to, with this, according to the roadmap, is supposed to cover meet certain milestones. We met 0 in September, but let's go ahead. How are we doing?
Okay. I say I will come to that. Don't worry. I will come to that. Trust me. I'll come to that.
Your party did not feed any female candidate out of 15. Let's go, J. Randy.
All right. Okay. So here's the thing. The Ministry of Gender was established in the early administration. That tells you the history of our country. That tells you that the history of our country, the issue of gender.
No, J. Randy, Ministry of Gender was not established during early administration. No.
When?
No. I remember Child Taylor administration. I was in Liberia. We still had a Ministry of Gender. No, I don't think so. I may be wrong, but that's what I think. Go ahead.
Oh, that is correct. That is correct. Child Taylor administration.
Yes.
Okay. All right. But I'm not going to make it a question. But it was not as effective as the way it began under any administration. So I will give that to Ellen because she make it more functionable. That said, it shows that after 135 years, the issue of women equality was something that was an imagination. Now, President, we are coming to office. If you look at the grand total participation of women within our government, it started with George Manuel Weah. The only person that I can remember back in the days, it was Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and I think Dr. Kip Bryan that were part of the previous government and Macron Dabo. What President Weah has managed to do, the late Geraldine Doe, may her soul rest in peace. The late Muna Pena, may her soul rest in peace. And within his government today, there are many females who believe that their participation is something that will change the dynamic, the geographic of our men and women in civil service. President Weah today has over 200 young people in the government, and majority are men, but equal to that, we have more females coming in. But when we focus on a particular incident and want to take that particular incident and blanket that as a result of not having enough female, that is injustice. Because if you look across the executive arm of the government, there are many females. Not because we don't have many in the opposition, in the House, doesn't mean that the president is not focused on women equality. Just today, the seat for Muna Pena, there is a new lady called Musu, if I seem to be corrected on her name. She is participating in the process. She's participating in the process. Polito Weah, they try. If she had won Daron Dillon today, that was, but you see, President, we have believed that it doesn't necessarily be a new brand candidate to be given the opportunity. So that thing, that question about a female being given the opportunity It's not accurate. And and just to add to that, before I come to the second part of the question, people want to give women percentage. No, there's nothing like percentage in my own peer view. And President Weah is not basing the inclusion of female in his government based on a percentage. If he was doing that, I think the percentage would have been absorbed by now. Now, the second question, Dennis, I see you smiling there. Do you want to restate your second question quickly?
No, I don't want us to spend the whole night on the pillows.
I will take 10 nanoseconds to answer that. What was it?
Let's summarize. Let's summarize on all the pillows and see where we are, so we can go into other.
And Dennis, I have to ask the question.
Yes.
Our president is known with this title, Feminist in Chief. We want to know whether this is part of the gender equality that is the third bullet point on the proposed agenda pillar 1, which is that we Wamba Molu talk about the president appointing people, all because he had someone a quasi relationship with them. We hear ice cream and many other names all over the place that are being appointed because of his personal relationship. Is that part of the gender equity in the CDC proposed agenda?
No, that's part of the misinformation. That is part of the misinformation community of haters. All right. If George Weah, now President Weah, if you think the way you just described me as an icon in the world that could afford to get any female he wanted, but we never heard any scandal while he was up there playing soccer. Now he has a responsibility. When people come out and say things,
but maybe he being just smooth with it, as he might be smooth with it in the government now.
You see, having an assumption is different from having an empirical evidence. When you say maybe, you are assuming and you are only feeding the appetite of the opposition that believe and worship falsehood and assumption. I'm telling you, the reason I'm saying
Mamba Molu was wrong, right?
I don't know under what condition Mamba Molu was at that time. All right, I could have been drunk to say anything, but right now I'm in my rest state of mind, and everything I say here is the truth, is the fact. In fact, you just said you believe that the gender ministry was established and Dennis, vouch for that or attest to that. I'm speaking in my rightful mind. Whatever the chairman said, people say things when they are not in a rest state of mind. When did he say? Where did he say? What state of mind was he in? People are not looking at these things because they are opposition. They will just take anything and run with it. Take for example, Yeke Koluba. Yeke Koluba said, I will not have any press conference till January. Yeke Koluba said, I cannot take my words back if I say it. And he said he was going to suspend himself until things get together. Just yesterday, Yeke Koluba came back and said because he's happy, so everything he said in the past, I've been thinking, is he arrested of mine? I don't know. But what I do know, he said things that he's going back on. So when you talk about Mobile Model, I know Chairman Model, he's a man of words. He said things when he means it. Why he said it, I don't think that is something that I need to talk about because I was not there at that time where he said, how he said it, I don't know.
Thank you. J. Rennie Dapo is our guest here. We are having an exclusive with him in this Friday special here at Focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony Sier. I'm co-hosting with my partner Dennis Jazz. Stay with us here. We have more questions for J. Rennie in the second segment of this show. You do not want to miss it because we'll be going into the national issues. And J. Rennie has been on this path of contributing to our national conversation, and he too needs to be held accountable, and we will do so. J. Rennie, quickly, physically challenged and senior citizen is another bullet point under the pillow. We saw the First Lady at some point. We saw our mothers were in line, and it's like she was giving them, little food that could sustain them just for a day. Is that part of the policy?
It's part of the process. It's part of the hope for change. In the history of our country, we saw people with disability. We saw mental retardation. We saw homeless people as a cast away community of people in our society.
So you gave them him out?
Madam Cloud Weah is initiating a new mindset of having empathy for people. in the United States here, during the Thanksgiving season, during the holiday season, those that go out to different centers and begin to distribute food, I don't call that a handout. I call that a humanitarian gesture. In Liberia, why it is true that we copy after the United States, there are some fundamental value, human dignity that we don't have in our country. So I'm glad that Manaclawia is now introducing that new belief system that not everyone will be opportune to be equal to everyone. Some will not. But how do we compensate? The group of 77 that were established by Tobo, Joseph Boyka sat in that place for 12 years and disowned, neglected the disabled people. Now Manaclawia is coming now to look at different institutions that will copy after what she's doing, like Big Brother watching Little Brother, like humanitarian services. So what she's doing is beyond the scope of any past leadership. So kudos to her for such a wonderful job. And that if there's any donation, I'm calling on you, Sia and Brother Dennis, to begin to pay into that donation box so that she can be able to help our fellow Liberians. You know it happened in the United States here. I'm sure you are giving a hand out. I mean, some cash to somebody who is begging, because that feeling is there. It just takes somebody to motivate those feelings.
Thank you, Dapo. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia, and we are in conversation with Mr. J. Randy Dapo, host of the Bekube Show. Mr. Dapo, let's run through the rest of the pillars quickly, and for each of the pillars, I'll just pick one, and let's run through that so we can get to the meat. Pillar 2, under Pillar 2, we talk about sustainable economic growth.
Yeah.
You and I know things are very hard in Liberia, as evidenced by the calls we receive daily. People are not working. The unemployment rate is through the roof. And we see prices are high, the exchange rate, the numbers are not in our favor when it comes to the economic indicators. What sayest thou when it comes to sustainable economic growth? We talk about the jobs that the government was going to create for the first 6 years. Where are we with that economic growth?
First of all, I will push back on this. The unemployment rate is not above the roof. If that was the case, you will not have what we see today in Liberia. Progress is on the way. Progress is being made. So to take that to the roof, I think that is a little bit exaggeration. Here is the thing here, all right? Liberia, in post-war country, after Ellen Johnson said he received up to $1 billion, they promised to reduce the unemployment rate. Unfortunately, when they left office, we didn't know what was the unemployment rate when they started. We did not know what was the unemployment rate after the life. President Weah, through his minister, the Ministry of Finance, Minister Samuel Tue, has done his salary harmonization. One thing he spotted there was, with the little taxes that we collect, with the little partnership, with the little we get from our partners in terms of specific projects, one thing he managed to do was to carry out the global harmonization process. And that was to sustain the salary. In the United States,
global harmonization process?
The salary harmonization process.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yes, I'm going into my field now, so thank you.
I know.
Yeah, I'm going to my field. Yes. So with the salary harmonization process, it was all part of sustaining the structure of our salary. Because Ellen Johnson said it was very wasteful. Because Ellen knew that she was not interested in sustainability. This administration, under Minister Samuel Tue, has seen the need that government need to trim and to feed that trim into other sector of government to improve and sustain the salary of all public civil servants. Now, one of the challenges, Brother Dennis, the Ebola had a serious issue on the country. The IMF projection was on track until this unforeseeable COVID-19 came into place. Nevertheless, the finance minister has managed to accrue some excess that is giving the Liberian government the opportunity to pay employees on time, to meet other obligations. Like, for example, if you, Dennis Jai, if you, Brother Sia and Dennis want to do a project for the government, you are not going to be promised for all getting your pay. That's what the finance ministry is doing now in terms of financial discipline. Number two, the issue of taxes. There are many of us as Liberians. The LRA boss has done a very, very important job. Whether you, Dennis, and Brother C, with your property, whether it is an empty lot or it is a home built on our land, you can go into the system of the LRA and begin to pay your taxes. You know that government have 4 principles in which they survive, and revenue collection is one. With all the noise that we hear in the opposition and across the country by opposition, they are not paying into the system to sustain our economy. With the little opportunity that President George Manuel Weah and the little resources we have and the contribution for our partner, all those things put together to show that he is making progress. But what the opposition don't understand is how long it takes to make a progress. They know that they are not helping the system, but harming the system. But that's what they do for them. That's what they do.
You keep mentioning opposition. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring someone from the opposition, bring the two of you here to talk about that, because they are not here so they can defend themselves. But let me bring in something else on sustainable economic growth. All right? And this will be my last question, and then we go to Mr. Sia to go to Pillar 3.
Yes.
There is a word that has been coined right here on Focus on Liberia during the hour of politics called to economics.
Yes.
To economics. And Mr. Minister Tue is a very smart guy. So whatever he does or says, he's a policy guy too. So it kind of transcends, or it kind of walks away into the policy of the government. So on to economics, what we have seen are words like borrow initiative, harmonization, dig hole, cover hole, pay the legislature more so that when the citizens go to them to beg, then they can give them money. Apologize for the news about the 16 billion so that when we go abroad to beg for money, we can have money. So the host of Hour of Politics, when he was presenting his show, he described that as to economics. So when it comes to economics, will we make that as part of Pillar 2 under the sustainable economic growth, borrow initiative, dig hole, cover hole, etc.?
Well, first of all, let me try to clean some of the skills, because some of the skills are dead skill already. So we have to clean those skills to make sure that the fish look good. First of all, there were no $16 billion missing, all right? There were no $16 billion missing, all right? The money is in the system.
That's not my point. So, Mr. Tue said, because of that rumor, because of that lie.
I know that's not your point, but we are on a very, very important platform. And whatever you say that I see as a non-true factor, I have to come in. And remember, I am the one who is defending the proper agenda. So when I see something that is red flagging what the government is doing, remember when you introduced me, you said I'm revealing the government policies and program. So when you come out to say $16 billion missing or this, I have to clear that out.
I didn't say that. I'm saying Mr. Tue said because the opposition told lies about the 16 billion when he goes abroad to beg for money, he doesn't get the money.
I'm glad.
That was characterized as to economics under. Yeah, that's what I said.
I'm glad that you cleared that out. So that means we have to move on, because there was no $16 billion missing. It's just a lies, misinformation that has been put out there by the opposition, because they got no plan for the people, no plan whatsoever. But the dig hole, cover hole, those are terminology. For example, I just asked you guys from the beginning of the show, to sustain a better educational system, we must pay taxes. The dig hole, cover hole, as I would see it, if I were in the shoe of Minister Tue, there are projects that come from the partners overseas, and those budgets that come to carry out the project, those are specific budgets that are meant for specific projects. But if the president sees fit that he wants to use some of the projects, and I'm answering the question just how I see it, and want to use some of the money to reallocate those money for other initiatives, that's what I believe the minister is considering to be a deep hole cover hole, because there are areas that need to be filled out, and those areas are very important on the president priority list. Now, when you talk about, let me see the last part of you said the D hole cover hole
borrow initiative.
The one at the worker initiative, right?
Yeah, 12 borrowing initiative.
Yeah.
The one he called borrowing initiative of when the diplomatic heavyweight wrote a letter to the government when they said that the government had taken money from their accounts. Mr. Tuel called it borrowing initiative. That's why he described it. Is that part of the Pillow 2?
Look, the way I see it is like you tapping into your 401k. And you know, mostly it's not easy to tap into your 401k.
The diplomats account or our partners accounts having to be the 401k of the government. Is that what you're saying, Rennie?
I'm saying the way I see it. That's why I said the way I see it is like the 401k. Now, if the government is constrained and it went into that account, I think what matters is, did it pay that money back? What was the agreement after that?
Rennie, what matters first is, even your own 401k, you got to call the company that is managing it and say, hey, I want some money. But in this case, the government did not notify the partners and took away the money. That's why the partner have to write a letter.
There's no evidence to that. There's no evidence to that.
The evidence is that the diplomats, the partners wrote the government. So that is the evidence.
Well, no, the letter already could be it already happening, and they just wanted to straighten out the process in how it should be done. Remember, not all letters are written just mean that you violated the rule. There are letters that will say, well, now we understand this is where we are. Now, let me come to the portion of when Dennis said, I just forgot what you were trying to say. I just forgot that.
No, he was talking about Mr. Tuel said that because of the $16 billion news that the opposition told, or the $16 billion lie that the opposition told, whenever he went out to beg for money, he was never given money. So Dene is asking, is going out to beg for money part of the economic policy of the government?
Right. And because when this man speaks, he speaks policy, right? Whatever comes, like when President Trump tweets, that becomes a policy right away. So, and he also said, the legislators should be paid more so that when their constituents go to them to beg for money, they will have money. So these are all policies that he's promoting. Should this be part of the Pillar 2?
No. First of all, a speech is not a policy, all right? And policy is not a sunset. It can change.
Right.
When Mr. Tuel
that's why I'm asking, what are we going to change Pillar 2 to include borrowing initiative, D-hole, cover hole, and all that?
Question now. When you see Minister Tuel out there, he is creating awareness on the public policy obligation on his part. When Minister Tuel mentioned that the lawmakers are taking home $5,000 a month, and when DeLong, who once said that he has no clue, no idea, no education about economics and financial management, try to paraphrase the minister comment. The audio is out there. The video is out there. What the minister was alluding to is the fact that after the gross has been taken into consideration, the taxes, the balance, the take home, as we call it in the United States here, the net is the 5,000. If he affect that, it's going to have a trickle-down effect, because Dennis and Sia, this is a cultural system. I don't know, you guys follow me or not. You saw Turbo giving money to indigenous people back then.
Rather than
putting that money into a social system where people can apply and depending on their condition, be given that money. That system has been adapted from town to town. So our lawmakers who not only care for the people just by having empathy, they also have financial empathy. It is a culture, it is a system that we are adapted in our society. Brother Deneja, when you spoke about the economy, you said people calling you. You know, I have my brother-in-law who married to a white girl. One time, their grandmother called, and the girl looked at him and said, "Why your mom asking her for money? She's supposed to be benefiting from some system back home." And he said, "No, it's not the way it works here." So when Minister Toy said the $5,000 is the take-home pay, and if they don't come here, who doesn't know nothing more, want to lie to you guys, here are the facts. We take taxes off these people's money. This amount is an amount that we both agree, so that when this...
Jay Rennie, if I can interject, you are a very critical thinker. You think, is Mr. Twer place? I know that he's right to say whatever he wants to say, right? But professionally, you think it was Mr. Twer place to be explaining why lawmakers should make more, when in fact he has been advocating for harmonization? You think it was a place to explain why lawmakers should make more? And the reason of saying that was that so that when citizens go back the legislator can have something to share with them.
It becomes a policy. That's my point. It becomes a policy.
No, it's not a policy. Minister Twer is trying to explain the cultural norms of our society when he made that comment. Dennis and Sia, don't we give money to people? When you become somebody today, how many people will come knocking your door? When you leave from America, how many people will be expecting you to give them money?
But when you make that a government policy, when you make that into say,
no,
okay, this is the reason why the legislators will be paid more, because when people come to beg them, this is the finance minister.
No, listen, the finance minister did a harmonization, and we must thank the lawmakers for coming to such an amount, because back then during early time, that idea, that thing you describing as a policy, was a no-go area to bring about. You saw Oscar Cooper standing in a house when the LRA boss said we should reduce our salary. If you watch that video, Oscar Cooper got up and said, we're not here to talk about that. So when Minister Twer, through the salary harmonization, managed to work with the lawmaker, and that's what I call bipartisanship, including some of the opposition, to bring their amount to $5,000 a month. Think about how much they were making then, than how much they're making now. And also, remember that their district, their counties, they look up to them. You saw that they don't writing off check, giving that check to the community. But he's the same man coming back and trying to say no to what the minister is explaining. So the minister was just trying to provide clarity that the lawmaker salary used to be at this level. After taxes, it's down to $5,000 a month. Aside from that $5,000 for their personal use, there are Liberians in our culture who look up to the lawmaker for assistance. So their salary is not going to help. That was an explanation that he was giving. The question here now is, how can we discuss this thing for our people to understand? And how can we educate the opposition to start making false information? And I think the finance minister explained those things well. Unless you are a person who has that one way of thinking, you're not going to see the big picture. But we live in a culture where we are dependent upon each other because it was introduced long time ago. And are we going to be part of that? That is part of the economic sustainability, where the president wants to create training, education to sustain our economy by providing jobs for our people.
Thank you, Jay Rennie there. He is the host of the Bekugbe Political Show, and he is our guest. Today is Friday special, and we are having an exclusive with him. And Jay Rennie, we want to tell you, Samuel Twer is your friend. Let him know that we want him. We have written him several times. He saw the message. He did not respond. We really want to interview him because we have a lot of questions for him. He holds a consequential job, and Liberia's future economically depends on it. So we need to ask him the question. Let's move to pillow number what? 4. Dennis, is that pillow 4?
Yeah, let's skip pillow 3.
Yeah, let's skip pillow 3. Let's move. No, we can't skip pillar 3. Dennis, we can't skip pillar 3. And here's why. Let's run through it, Jay Rennie. Let's talk about reconciliation, and let's talk about security on our pillar 3. So Jay Rennie, pay attention so quickly. when we talk about reconciliation, our current president, he had this kindly standing of being a unifier, right? But today, the CDC is more than divided. You know well that CDC USA, their officials, and CDC in Liberia, they don't get along. The party is divided. Now we have a by-elections going on as we speak. We have Phil Tapper Dixon, we have Jemima Wolokoli, we have Axel Vactuba, and we have Thomas Fowler. 4 individuals from the CDC running. That does not show that the CDC is unified. Keep that one, that's your piece of cake. Let's come to security. Costa radio station was ranked. Costa was chased out of the country. Yeka Kodwa has been harassed over and over by security forces belong to the government. Throwing room. EPS personnel or sharp somebody from the defense ministry. Somebody from the defense ministry did the same thing. We're talking about one employee in hiding right now because of passport scandal. We're talking about Justina. Martin Colley is outside of Liberia, and he alleged that the government has been trying to pursue him. What is going on here? All for you, my man. We give you 5 minutes to unpack all that.
Thank you very much. First of all,
on security and reconciliation.
Yeah, security and reconciliation. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, that's the topic on the breakfast there. Okay,
Yeah.
so the issue of political party is established on an idea, and the idea must have priority, and the priority must be a unilateral understanding of all. I'm very disappointed in Aseba Toba, and I will tell you this and why. Aseba Toba is the individual who spotted me and took me to the CDC. Aseba Toba disassociated himself from the CDC with no justifiable reason. Dennis, you and Sia, if there's a disagreement, you will call a meeting to explain why. Aseba Toba did not call us just how he recruited us. He just got up one morning and declared himself as an independent, leaving every one of us here asking ourselves what went wrong. You didn't see the picture. You didn't see the thing unfolded. No. Now, in Liberia, Madam Jemima Wolokoli, whatever she decides to do, is up to her. She is getting her fair share. Today, I'm talking here along with many dedicated citizens. We are not being called by the president to take any office. Madam Jemima Wolokoli served in the government. What can the people of Liberia say about her commitment? What did she do that will warrant her? But you know what? The election will determine whether Jemima Wolokoli really. The political party cannot employ everybody. Right now, people are crying, oh, the president did it, the president did it, the president did it. And Mr. We have decided to employ all citizens. You, Dennis, and Sia will be making noise. So those who left from here and went to Liberia and came back and changed overnight, their aim was very selfish. They wanted a job. I don't need job. If the president give it to me, I will take it. But I will not visit Liberia and come back and turn against the government because I don't have a job. Number 2, you spoke about Henry Costa. That frequency don't belong to Henry Costa. Henry Costa bought that frequency on the black market. I'm a living witness to that. It doesn't belong to him. The reason Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did not force Henry Costa only when it was time for him to renew it, because that frequency belonged to a guy by the name of Charles Wilson, who served as one of Ellen's deputy ministers and the Minister of Labor. Henry Costa bought that thing overnight. Henry Costa should be grateful to God, because you know why? He had been given a lot of opportunity, but he always make the wrong choice. Henry Costa met George Weah. I campaigned for George Weah, except when he was Ambassador Weah when I met him. Henry Costa was given an opportunity to redeem himself when he had that radio station. He didn't do it. All right? Yeka Koluba. Yeka Koluba is someone who really needs help. You see the healthcare we spoke about earlier? Yeka Koluba, from you and I observation. This man, being a former fighter, is suffering from some personal disorder issue. He has bipolar. He is PTSD. These are things that we learn off. So when he comes out to say, how will the president be running? Hold on, brother. Dennis, give me 5
Are
minutes.
you providing diagnosis? Are you a psychologist or something?
No, I'm not a psychologist, but you see, in the United States here, I work in mental home. I gain
And
experience
you
from
do
that.
that without evaluating them.
No, listen. I work in mental home. I have the awareness. A police pull you over the energy, you will have the question to say, Is that a probable reason? That's not making you an expert. But you got the awareness, the basic. I have the basic to see the behavior of Yeke. The way Yeke conducted himself, accusing the government, it is not only personal. There is some mental issue surrounding Yeke behavior. From what Yeke said today and Yeke come back the next day, there is nobody behind Yeke. Yeke is embarrassed. He's being used. Yeah, he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed because his own district, Miss Josephine Davis, built a very nice market building that changed the people's life, and that is part of the change for hope. Yeke lived in that district and could not even build a chicken hut. Yeke knows very well that he's being used by the opposition to go out there and begin to insult the president with no regard. Lawmakers, opposition, call himself an executive and see the profanity that Yeke is using in the public with no filter, and none of them come out to condemn Yeke Koluba behavior. That is totally insane. Last but not least, this government believes in unity. President Weah is open to everyone. I tell you this, I myself standing before you here. If you follow me, the early part of 2018, I criticized the government. But today the government came back to me and said, Randy, we okay with you. You are a sedition. When you see wrong, you say, I listened to Darrell Dillon today, saying that nobody don't say anything wrong to the president. Everybody agreed. Darrell Dillon was lying to a T. I said here, I got a video that said that. So the president is a reconciler. The people who are not reconciling are the opposition. Lastly, Dillon, Cummings, Ure, and Boka they were all invited to the first economic meeting. Boka said he was going to local country that had no road, said he been there. Cummings said he was going out of the country. Ure said he was not going nowhere. Dillon went over there. They asked him the first question. He went for a bowel movement in the bathroom. He never came back. The next time we saw him, he was sitting in front of a phone trying to criticize the government. These guys don't want unity, all right? The opposition right now, Sia and Dennis, you know who they're against? They are against the election commission and not the election process. Because if they go through the election process, they will be defeated. That is why they are battling up with the election commission, preventing the election commission from introducing the electoral process. But that
don't forget Martin Colley and Justina Taylor issues. I want you to address those, then we can move to the final panel.
Martin Colley may end up being like the backup Matthew, the Tipoteden. This man is on record, all right? Among us and everyone listening to us here. Martin Colley is a beneficiary of the president's free tuition at the University of Liberia. There is no way Martin Colley can tell you that he paid a penny when the president declared the university tuition free and on the expense of the government. This man was in the town. He did everything that a democratic system would allow him. He chastised the president. He said things on Facebook. He politely left that country and went into Ghana. Today, he's saying things. How many times did you see those things happening under Taylor administration? How many times? No. So Martin Colley is part of the misinformation people who don't want to see prosperity in our country. So when Martin Colley comes to speak, he has no relevance. This man is going to waste his life on false food and false propaganda.
J. Randy, as far as you're concerned, security is excellent. So these people, the one blue that's on the wrong, Justina Taylor, Martin Colley, Yeke Koluba, they have no reason for alarm.
There's no reason for alarm, and I'll tell you why. These people get out in the morning, they express themselves, they make a story. The next morning they get up, they express themselves, they make a story. There is a video that I show on my show about people walking at night and getting arrested during the Tubman administration. Ms. Justina Taylor came up with a story. All right? We saw the story. Justina Taylor left the country in peace. Justina Taylor is speaking today. Justina Taylor is welcome to the country. Justina Taylor has not shown any proof as to who really wanted to harm her. I don't see none of those things today, but my brothers.
Really, we have to leave it there, but Justina called names, and those individuals have not been investigated by the government. At least maybe the government should have investigated those individuals.
Can call names, but if she called the names, the government had gone through the investigation. I don't know, but if that's something that you believe the government hasn't done, thank God we're on the show here. And I will call on the government to get a closure to that incident.
All right. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia in an exclusive with J. Randy Dapo. He is the host of the Bakube Political Show. Randy is somebody who have been on this journey of contributing to our political disco, and we are in this exclusive with him. I'm Anthony C. along with my partner Dennis Jai. Let's move to the final pillar, and then we'll get to the meat of this thing. Pillar 4, you talk about governance and transparency. Bullet point 1 talk about decentralizations of institutions. So on that one, pay attention carefully. We want to know whether the new revelation that came from Samuel Detour, that we should make our president a benevolent dictator, is a part of the governance and transparency that we're talking about. Then let's go to accountability and anti-corruption. The government failed to audit Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Can it audit itself, the government that failed to audit Ellen? Ellen, the government, this current government had condemned when it was in opposition as being corrupt, but failed to audit this government. So the last one will be on foreign policy and diplomatic relations. That is the third bullet point on page 4. On that one, we are asking this question. Passport scandal. Then we see Finan Bodo sending her daughter to a diplomatic mission outside of Liberia. Are these parts of Pillar 4?
Well, first of all, there is nowhere that I can recall on record that Mr. 12 will say President Weah should be or might be or will be a dictator. No. You know, the mind, the eyes see things, the ear hears it, but the process.
You want me to play the clip for you, Randy?
Go ahead, play the clip. I love for you to play. Go ahead, play the clip.
All right, just give me a moment. We will play the benevolent dictator.
Okay.
Hold on here quickly.
Look, a benevolent dictator, meaning somebody like Paul Kagame, who alone can sit in the room and make a decision to change the country faster. This is what's happening in a lot of the Asian dictatorships where the benevolent dictator just say, okay, you know what, I don't get the year when other people sit in a view. I won't build that road and I'll put the money there. Because so now we see what build the road, so we do the land out there, everybody start to mark the task in the decision, then you slow. But we need tough decisions. So let's reorient this whole government. The president will now have a resounding mandate for people to be afraid of him. So this is the mandate that you want to give him this December 8th.
Jeremy, you heard it right there, or you didn't get it clear? So what he was saying is that we need to make President William. Oh, go ahead. I thought you didn't hear it, so go ahead. You heard it, go ahead.
Thank you. There is nothing in that clip that linked the name of George Manneh Weah to dictatorship. What you just heard is the Minister of Finance in person of Samuel Detour drawing a comparison of Paul Kagame dictatorship leadership, where he wants things to be done, not on the democratic platform, and it will be done. And George Manneh Weah is not that type of the president. He is a president who collaborates, who team up with people. That's why he said, and the president will collaborate and do this. It's a two-part. One is a negative and one is a positive leadership. That's why you missed in our audio there.
No, J. Randy, we can argue on this, and let me tell you why. He said a benevolent dictator is somebody like
what? No.
Paul Kagame.
Yes.
And he went on by saying, when we start democratizing the decision making, a slow development. That's what he said. And he said, the way we gave the president a resounding mandate for people to be afraid of him, that was to make him, or that is to make him a benevolent dictator. That's why he was saying. So if that is not the reason, why was he making that analogy then?
No. He was still drawing a comparison going back to Paul Kagame. The only thing the minister was saying over there is the democratic platform our government, the government of the Republic of Liberia, is taking. Like I said, every negative thing that you heard, it was alluding to Paul Kagame. And every positive thing he was saying, it was about the WIA administration. Samuel Tuer, my friend,
I think you missed that.
you know.
Let's go forward. You missed that, Mr. Dapo. But let's move forward.
No. People will listen to
dictator, meaning somebody like Paul Kagame, who alone can sit in the room and make a decision.
Okay,
You missed that. But let's make progress.
No. Before we make progress, if you take a linear approach, the stop and play, you'll be able to dissect that particular audio. You see, you spoke about me being engineer. We take a broader approach at time, and we take a segment approach. If you dissect that thing and play segment by segment, you will see the connection as to what Samuel Tuer was saying with the two presidents. One being a dictator, one being a democratic president, and the dictator. And all the negative words that he used in there were going towards Paul Kagame.
What he talk about, so we can be afraid to give President Weah a resounding mandate for him to be respected. President, listen now, President Weah has already gotten a resounding mandate by winning around 61%. That is resounding in the democratic space, all right? But so why is Samuel Tuer making an analogy between Paul Kagame and George Weah? And then he going further by saying that is the only way he will be. People will be afraid of him. He's trying to tell you and myself we should make George Weah a benevolent dictator.
No, that's your interpretation.
That is the interpretation. But let's make progress.
What our audio said, what Samuel Tuer was trying to do, Liberians believe in raw example. Mr. Tuer is drawing example between Paul Kagame leadership and President Weah leadership. When he mentioned the word dictator, right after that, it came to Paul Kagame. And then he explained, when he talked about President Weah, after President Weah, he mentioned about democratic process and decision making. You shouldn't spin the thing here. Let the people.
You are trying to clean it up, and we understand that's what the political community do. You are cleaning it up. You are cleaning it up.
I don't think he listened to it, but let's move on.
Yeah, he didn't listen to it. I will send it to you.
I get your drift.
Yeah, I will send it to you so you can play it on your show and analyze it to your audience.
That way, invite two of you guys to come and listen.
Oh, yes, I will certainly come. And then we also talk about the audit. We said that this government failed to audit Ellen. You think the government able to audit itself?
I don't think the government failed to audit Ellen. It's the people's inability to understand the responsibility of their lawmaker. You see today, people who are calling for economic and war crime code, you know how a real democracy works? People in the community who voted for the lawmaker, the senator, why aren't they informing the people to call on their lawmaker to pressure the speaker, the Senate, to begin a process that will reach out to the president to audit past administration?
Are you saying that is not the role of the executive?
It is the role of the executive, but in my opinion, I think the people need to understand why. Because at the end of the TRC, it was said that the people must engage their lawmaker to decide for them whether they want to have an economic and war crime code. We cannot have the command and control. You see, you just spoke about dictatorship. If President Weah get up and just start to prosecute early or audit early, you guys will be the one coming out here. I'm saying, in how much we have a democracy where people can stand online and vote for DeLong and vote for Oscar Cooper, those people should also be informed to pick up the phone, and I'm going to demonstrate to you here again, and call and say, Mr. Donald DeLong, we want the Weah administration to audit early. We put you there. We are going to call on all district counties to go after their lawmaker and ask them to push forward the audit of early. You shaking that?
Yes, because according to our framework of governance, the institution responsible for audit are under the executive branch. So the president does not need any noise from anywhere to do so.
On two ways. The people can call. The people can call. All right? The people can call.
So President Weah is waiting for that call. Dennis Jan Anthony is here making that call right now. Go and conduct the audit.
No, you just one out of the 4.5 million people.
But Mr. Dapo,
but the election was clear. He won majority, so let him do the audit.
audit is done all the time, and I don't want you to give audit a negative connotation to say, well, if the president audits the government, then you people will say something. No, even under Ellen, when we have a commission that's for auditing, right? So what's wrong with going to audit the past government before you take over, or just do some system check?
Yeah, but remember, those audits are meant to audit the financial process of institution. We are talking about a former government. What I'm saying here, the people of Liberia should learn their civil responsibility. We cannot keep pressurizing the executive. Let us continue to force on our people the understanding that they hold the power to call on their lawmaker.
All right, Generally, thank you. Your point is made right there. No, you said we should call on the lawmakers. You make your point. We have a lot to cover, brother.
Hold on now.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
The issue of the war crime code. The issue of the war crime
We
code.
talked about audit. We didn't talk about war crime code.
But comparison now, I can be just in one lane when I come to this because I want you to understand the mindset of our people and how they are being used. Many people will call on the executive to implement the economic and war crime code. Why they are not also calling on the lawmakers to implement the economic and war crime code to
They have done that multiple times, J. Randy. They have done that multiple times. Lojad or the Emmanuel Service Group have submitted many petitions. They have done that over and over.
As you got a question, let me ask you.
And it was a campaign promise that President Weah made to the Liberian people. It was a campaign promise that the CDC made to the Liberian people.
Yeah, but if it's a campaign promise, still, is it wrong for us to inform our people to know their right to call on a lawmaker?
And they have done that. J. Randy Solar made progress. They have done that.
No, I never saw them. I saw them.
Well, I will send you the record. I will send you the record. It has been done multiple times.
No, I'm not talking about record. When you have people who voted for people online, I want to hear the conversation on the market table, on the street, at the bus stop, in different offices. We are seeing protests on different platforms for different reasons. We are not seeing protests of people calling on their lawmakers to call for Ellen to be audited. If they start to do that, Brother Jai and Brother Sia, I will be here supporting them.
All right. Thank you, J. Randy. Let us make progress. Let's conclude on the pillow. We talk about the passport scandal. Anyway, maybe we should leave that and make progress. But I'm saying to you that Liberia, I don't know whether Liberia has any diplomatic interest. You live in the United States, so you know a little more about Mexico, and I do too. We have Canada. There are thousands of Liberians in Canada. Our friends, our brothers and sisters in Canada have been making frantic effort, all right, to get a diplomatic mission for Liberia in Canada. It has not been done. Mexico, Liberians don't reside. I see our government making effort there, and now we have this whole passport or syndicate. What's your take? You think that is a good move by the government?
What is the passport syndicate? What do you mean by that? Let me ask you. I want you to understand from you when you say passport syndicate. What do you mean by that? Before I answer your question.
Syndicate, from my understanding, is a full-scale corruption effort by some individuals. According to Wamplo, who happened to be the passport director, he said about 4,250 passports have been sold to non-Liberians. And from our math, you're talking about $85 million, around $125 million. And he called the president name, he called my good name, he called Wesonga name as these people being in the know. And that's why I call it a syndicate.
You know why Mapu was fired and he under arrest? Because of what you just explained. J. Randy sitting before you and your audience, and what you just said, he sat over there and sold over 400,000 passports. You just said that. He is the one who sold the passport. And should we believe him when he come back to lie to us? He was the director of the passport bureau. And you just said he sold passport. Nobody put gun to his head.
No, he said the 4,250 passport, he said he was not involved. Those were diplomatic passports that were sold not by him, but by a committee. He used the word that there was a group put together that did that. That's why he said. I have the audio. Go ahead.
That he said and she said, but that's not the protocol. As the passport director, he has the opportunity to speak for himself if something is going wrong. He sat over there. You and I don't know what happened. And we only got to know after he got denied. And he coming up with story. Do you think that man is honest to himself if he listening to you right now?
I don't think he's honest. I don't think, but I'm just telling you this is what he said.
He's lying through his teeth, and that's why he will not come to the country. I only feel sorry for him on one condition. His innocent children that have nothing to do with his lies that he put together and are going to further destroy his image. I only pray that the U.S. government will have pity on his children and perhaps his wife. But that man will continue to lie from time to time. He is the passport director.
Yeah,
Mr.
Dapo.
Alternative.
Last question on the passport issue. Here is the thing that makes it for people to believe what he's saying, right? When this happened, he went to court, the charges were dropped, and he became buddy-buddy with the power that be. It was only after the United States stepped in that the government decided to take action again. Now he's on the run. But one thing that he said is like, we have a consulate in Mexico. Mr. Sear was asking you, giving you examples that in Europe, the one consulate, they have to go to Germany before they get visa. What are we doing in Mexico with a consulate? What's the point?
So my understanding from your question is why we don't have consulate in Mexico? Is that the question?
Why we don't have consulate in like Canada, where we have thousands of Liberians? In Mexico, there's no record of Liberians residing there.
Okay, now, the issue of having diplomatic relationship to other countries.
No consulate.
Consulate. It's a challenge to the government at times. And from what I know, and this is coming from my own understanding, not as a diplomat, all right? Many times, the Liberian government will provide some consultancy in the form of a consulate office. If you remember during early time, there was a Lebanese guy and a Lebanese woman who were representing Liberia. And we had a very big discussion on that. Because contrary to Indonesia, I remember a friend of mine, I'm not going to say his name yet. He was in the country of Indonesia. There was no visa in our country for Liberia. There was no representation. We even approached Augustine Gaffar on those things. I don't know what are the challenges, but what I do know that whether it's in Canada, whether it's in Nepal, whether it's somewhere else where we don't have a consulate office or a representative, the Liberian government, and I stand to be corrected because the foreign minister, the acting foreign minister has to come here. I stand to be corrected, but there are some ways that we can get present in those different countries. I don't know the condition is based on whether we have enough population of people there. Because remember, Liberians, our population is so small, minute. So I think strategically, these guys who are represented are placed in these countries with low population based on the number of Liberians they have in those countries. So when there's not a representation in other countries, and we see the population increasing, like in the case of Canada, we out here can now, including the Liberians in Canada, can start to call for that. If you remember,
they've done so several times.
Let me make a point, please. Ekimatan, New York, and Washington, D.C. were the two locations in the United States. But from what I'm hearing now, it is not extended to Minnesota and Georgia. So I think it's based on the population growth. So let's take that same idea and put that on the country and continental level. So if President Weah and a acting foreign minister beginning to see the surge, the increase of population of our people in other countries, that would give the reason. That would be my interpretation.
Right.
In how.
So based on that, you are saying we may have more people in Mexico than Canada.
I'm not saying that. I said if we do, there must be a reason why they have it in Mexico. There must be a reason why. But we must investigate the reason rather than assuming. All right? I don't know how well you've been to Mexico. I haven't been to Mexico. I don't know. But if there's reason why, maybe, and I would say maybe, the Mexican government feel that Liberia has a border I mean, Mexico has a border with the United States. There's a possibility that Liberians will start going to Mexico. We don't know for a fact. So let's investigate the process. Let us investigate the process. That's why we have investigative journalists. Let us investigate the process. At the council of it, you can draw the detail of how many Liberians live in Mexico and see that number and ask yourself, does that number really warrant us to have a president in Mexico? With that number, you can come here to argue that number. So we must get the data before we argue things and not follow the opposition guys and I just believe in providing negative thing.
Thank you, Randy. It seems to be that we will give you somebody from the opposition and to have a debate.
I'm willing anytime in the morning, in the evening, and tell them, by the way, tell Darrell Dillon to release that interview on his Darrell Dillon forum because they are afraid of me, so I cannot go on their platform. So when you bring in them, make sure that condition is met. All right.
All right. J. Randy Dapo, he is the host of the Bakuba Protocol show here in the United States. J. Randy Dapo is a seditious and he is a political commentator as well. We have been in this exclusive with him. We are going to the final segment of this show. In this segment, we are trying to hold J. Randy Dapo accountable. This is not, those of you who just seen J. Randy, no, he's not new to Facebook. He's not new in this political discussion. He's been around. He has taken position on a lot of issues here and there. And so just as he's holding the opposition accountable, we want to see whether he too can be held accountable because he is an opinion leader in our community. We have a clip. We will roll that clip. And after that clip, we'll come with questions for J. Randy Dapo. Dennis, are you set?
Yeah, and let's put this in context, right? J. Randy Dapo, he on his Facebook, he said he campaigned for the George Weah presidency, and now Weah is president. At some point, J. Randy has something else to say, and we want to play that tape. Hold on. Let's play that tape. Let's roll it.
Get it right. J. Randy is anxious.
Oh, yes. I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing anything.
Give us a minute.
All right.
Just take coffee from me, all right? So tonight, I'll be discussing the timeline of...
That's it.
Liberia. And when things fall apart, they will come back here. So Eugene Fagon is on a mission here. Freedom FM. A very, very old lady. Sorry for using that description on that lady. But she called the show. The woman is screaming in a very sorrowful voice, saying, I voted for this man. I call all my children out to vote for this man. But the men don't listen. And how can I get to him to the executive mansion? Because I want to talk to this man. But my friend and people, you may see the president physical appearance to you, but he's not the president that you once knew before. This man has sold his soul to the devil, and the devil is telling this man, don't listen to your people as long as you want to remain in power. So this president will not listen to nobody. He has been tested in every ways, from the baby to the little teenager, to the adult, the young, the old, and even the sick. They all are crying on this man's name. But this man has resolved to not listen to nobody. And that's who Mr. Weah is going to be. He's not going to change nothing. And he's going to remain very stubborn in there and allow people to destroy this country. So the next thing that I'm going to recommend, I'm not here to say I'm going to be supporting Dillon. However, if I see what Dillon has started to do, because from January of this year, I wrote and said he could become president. And from what I said, and I posted today, many of you guys who knows me will get to know that when I say things, it comes to fruition day and day and day. So we look at Dillon timeline 1, Dillon timeline 2, and Dillon Townland 3. But in the meantime, let me just discuss a few things for you guys. You see that guy they call Eugene Fagon? All the month he used to make against Ellen. He's sitting over there with that guy called Gilman, who just blocked me off the Facebook. Because he is so incompetent and he has become a total failure. Guess what he's talking right now on our show? He's throwing blames. He's not even talking about any project that Mr. Weah has undertaken. They have been in office for 573 days. And he came back to America after living for here for 573 days. And that is approximately 83 weeks. He left from here. They are working in our country. Instead of him coming here today now to focus on the healthcare sector, how the government is doing, the education, how the government is doing, security, how the government is doing, the economy, how the government is doing. This Deputy Information Minister, he's sitting over there inappropriately dressed too. Because the President, George Weah, he doesn't believe in dress code. George Weah dress any way he wants to dress. So however his minister then dress, no matter what they are on social media, in the community or in the public, none of the things count. Now he's over there right now, throwing blames on things that have been passed long time ago. You see how when the government is incompetent, you can tell? 573 days ago.
Mr. Dapo, that's
Yes,
you.
sir.
Let's stop right there.
Yeah,
I love.
let's stop right
I
there.
wish you guys continue going on. I love that.
Yeah, but we don't have all the time. But
We don't have all the time, so we wrote the main things that you said in there.
Yes.
So let me read some of them, then, if you don't mind. From the beginning of that broadcast that you did, you said, I am not going to waste my time beyond George Weah. That man is incompetent. His government is failing. There is nothing he can do. All he has to do is time out. Let someone else take over from him. Mr. Dillon is very unique. He's a very unique person. All right. And he went on to say, but that man called George Weah has sold his soul to the devil. This is a different George Weah. There is a demonic host that has taken over that man's body. That is why he doesn't listen. I now believe that George Weah is a born dictator. He does not take criticism kindly. Mr. Weah is very corrupt. He is one of the nefarious people in the country. He does not get a damn about anybody in the country. Last 3 comments. Mr. President, you are going down. You are going down. You must go down. The person that will remove Weah from office is Darius Dillon. Mark my word. For a guy like Weah, his government is a complete failure. Those were your words. J. Randy Dapo, was that you speaking in that audio clip?
Yes, that was me. Yes.
So what happened?
J. Randy Dapo, we are talking to tonight.
Yes. It's the J. Randy you're talking to tonight. Yes.
So tell us what's going on.
It's the same J. Randy who said on January the 16th, November the 6th, 2017, that if Weah doesn't do the right thing, I will come back here and provide constructive criticism to Weah because the people of Liberia deserve every right in our country. There are people in Liberia who are 40, 45 years old who are not seeing the day of life. There are people who can barely take their children to the ice cream shop. So if he doesn't do those things, trust me, if Tunis don't come back here, I will be back here. And I did it. And the reason I did it is because what I saw the administration of George Weah doing as a strong solution. I promised the people, just how you play it, that if he doesn't do the right thing, which I saw in myself, were not the right thing to do. But I also said, I am back because I'm beginning to see what is on here. The reason you brought me to ask me this question is because I have taken it upon myself and I see things now is heading in the direction of what I supported. All right. So using incompetent, he sold his soul to the devil. These are things that I would say if things are not going right for anybody. But in how much or sinner can turn to a Christian by doing the right thing. That does not cause the bishop, the pastor, or the evangelist to condemn them. If in my purview, President Weah is doing exactly what I wanted him to do, building schools, extending the health sector, meeting with opposition, and this, and you name the rest. These are things that he's doing, all right? And that is why I'm back here. One thing you feel to forget, you need to go back again. I said, Darius DeLong, you can only be president if you tell us how Charles Walker Bronsky managed to get the two-legged motorcycle and the fleet of vehicle. If you don't do that, I will not support you. When I made that statement, it was when Darius DeLong decided to black me. Second reason, you play my audio here today. All those who are behind Cummings, Barker, Ure, I want you to follow all of them. When lies have they said anything? Because remember, when I made that statement, Joe Weah was not president. And I can play it for you here if you want. Do you want me to play it?
No, Joe Weah was president.
No. I'm talking about the first statement I made. The first statement that I made.
We're talking about this audio. This one, Josh Weah was president when you said those things, right?
Yeah, because I was going back on my commitment that I want to play for you here. I said it. If Joe Weah doesn't do the right thing, I will come back here. And do you think I'm afraid to say now? No.
And Jay Rennie, to your credit, I'm not stopping you. To your credit, I watched you when you said that these things I'm saying today, if Josh Weah will not perform to expectation, I will come here and hold him accountable.
And I
watched that. That time I used to watch you. So to your credit, I will give you that. And to your credit also, another thing you said, to your credit, you said, if you do the right thing, we will say it. When you do a little bit and you need propping up, we will prop you up. But just running, my question is, those words you said were very harsh.
Of course.
You meant those words at the time when you said those words?
I meant the word because I was angry. I meant the word because I'm angry. Because
so do you regret them now?
I don't regret them. I'm happy with them for the fact that he's doing the right thing. So it is a gain for me rather than a loss. It will be a loss if he falls to exactly how I criticize him. Understand, the negativities of the war is not the result, but it is the change in the process. There are times that you must chastise your leader. All right? People who say, you know, when I said Dallas, they don't say people cannot criticize Joe Weah. I'm standing before you here, and I'm going to say something else again. Why you play, and I'm telling you guys, you Dennis and you see it. If that is anything that will say Joe Weah, say, I'm not going to call Randy, I'm standing by it because you know what? I'm fighting for Josephine Davis to get voice in our country. I am fighting for Alvin Wilson. I am fighting for Minister Toy. If Mr. Weah believe that Grand Crew, Sino, Refugee were never developed since 1847, after 145 years, if Mr. Weah believe that he did not get how he got from Liberia, and what I'm saying on behalf of equity in Liberia for all, then let them hold it against me. But I don't regret what I said. The reason is Mr. Weah is listening now. He's doing the right thing. And like I said to you, we are back here now to make sure that we recount. The question that I want to leave with you guys, and I'm going to challenge you guys. I hope all those who are supporting boycott, Ure, Cummings, I hope you're listening to them. Because I haven't heard none of them saying, if my leader does wrong, I will call it out. We have
everybody clips. Jay Rennie, I can guarantee you, I'm not cutting you off. We have the clips of people who are talking and supporting their leaders. And if only we can get an opportunity to talk to them, we will do the very same thing.
Mr. Dapo, almost out of time because we have another show coming.
Hold on, you plan to tell. Let me say my own too. What I want to do from the clip, let me say of those guys you're talking about. I hope they are saying that if my leaders do something wrong or say something wrong, I will immediately criticize them. That's the clip I'm looking for.
Okay, we'll come to that. But Mr. Randy, here's the thing. There's one thing to say, well, if the person goes wrong, I'm going to hold them accountable. This is but the language here is very different, and I'll play back to you.
Go ahead.
George Weah has sold his soul to the devil.
Okay.
This is not something you say to somebody who has done wrong. George Weah is a born dictator. He is one of the nefarious people in the country. He doesn't give a damn about the country. Mr. President, you are going down. You said it 3 times. Those are not words you say when someone is going well. Those are words that mean this is who this guy is.
No, this is who the guy is at that time. At that time. Who had
So
that
when did he buy his soul back from the devil?
Well, when the president started to do the right thing, like following this agenda here, providing education for our people, taking out the salary harmonization, meeting with opposition, bringing on board young and eligible Liberians, giving opportunity to Liberians. These are things that I see that align with this pill. Now,
thank you,
the
Mr.
expression
President.
used,
We are out of time because we have another show.
The expression used are my expression when I was in my state of desperation, because the expectation at that time did not turn out like the way I expected it. I expressed myself, all right? I expressed myself, and I will still tell you, yes, I said it, and I stand by it, and today he's doing the right thing, and I will stand by what he's doing today.
Any of
And Jay Rennie, Dennis, let me give Jay Rennie the opportunity again. I mean, this is in no way, shape, or form me trying to be on the president's side. The president and myself, we don't get along. I don't have my feeling about that. I want to give you the opportunity because this is somebody you support, you believe, and trust. Do you regret these strong words that you use on the president?
I don't regret the voice that I used that time because of the moment and the activities that were going on. I don't regret
And
it.
if you have the opportunity to do it, you will do it again?
If the president is doing something wrong, I will come back and criticize the president.
The president is still dancing the zombie dance.
Is there anything you said?
The zombie dance is not a bad dance, it's a good dance.
Is there anything you said that you want to take back that you believe was a little over the edge?
There's nothing that I said. Like I said, I spoke at that moment. And because of the gravity, the condition of that moment, I spoke the way I spoke. But today, the president is doing the right thing, and I'm speaking for the president and what he's doing. So the president, they are all 2 different scenarios. As long as the president continues to do the right thing, I will support the president all the way. And that's why I'm here. That's who I am.
Thank you so much. We'll be glad to have you back. Sorry, we are out of time and we don't intend to rush this. And the next time we come, we will get one opposition because you mentioned opposition coming Yure Boakai more than 70 times. So we're going to get one for you.
The last thing here is what I said before the president got elected, what I said when I was criticizing him. I challenge the 2 of you guys and every other person. Y'all listen attentively to all the opposition. Not 1, not 2, not all of them has come out to say, if my leader does wrong, I will criticize them. If you find that video, make sure you bring me on to listen to it. But I can guarantee you, because they're better in the wheel, they will not do those things. I am fighting for the people of Liberia. I want what I did not benefit from or of in Liberia. George Weah is giving it to the people. If George Weah does the right thing, I will commend him. If he makes mistake, I will criticize him. No matter my condition, I will criticize him. It's 2 ways. You do the right thing, you comply, you get the praises. I'm not looking for a job in Liberia. I'm looking to help our people.
Folks in cyberspace, sorry, we have to come to the end of this broadcast because we have another show coming on. Jay Rennie, therefore, we cannot thank you enough for honoring our invitation. We are all in this business